education. Education unleashed, H-Town representing, we forever keep it rolling. Join the conversation with inspirational stories. Thought-provoking, feel that energy. Kendrick Thomas aiming to lift the community. True indeed, tune in, come and see. Giving you what you need, KTTV. Let's go, hey, KTTV.
Affection. What do KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of Education Unleashed. And on tonight's episode, somebody I've been looking forward to having this conversation with for a while on here. We got Brother Tony Runnels Jr. How you doing tonight, Tom?
Yes, sir. Doing great, Brother KT. How you doing?
Look, man, I won't complain. As I stated, I was excited about getting this done because we've been looking to have this conversation for a while. So I know it's going to be so many great jewels dropped tonight, so much information for the masses, man. So just really looking forward to a great conversation tonight.
Oh, man, I'm excited. I'm glad to be here on KTTV.
Hey, look, we getting up in the building. So now, yes, man, sir. I know for the people that don't know, we do have a couple connections. Of course, as we talked about tonight, there's education, yes, there's sir. Leadership, but we are also fraternity brothers and proud members of the Omega Phi. I mean, Omega Psi Phi. My God, I just said the wrong thing. They're reading it. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Root to the bros.
Root to the good bros. Look, man, you know, Cousin Clay just came and
yes, sir.
Hey, man. Root to the good bros, man. Shout out, man. Look, man, we have Line brothers all down there. Hey, what an experience, man.
We had a good time. It was a wonderful time.
Now, so I already know this conversation can go in about 10 different ways. It's just almost jumped off into the clay right there.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know, let me give you a context about the man sitting with me tonight. Mm-hmm. Tony has spent more than 32 years in public education. And when I say he's been seeing education from almost every seat, I mean that. So I'm going to just run it down. You tell me. Middle school science teacher.
Yes, sir. Check.
High school science teacher.
Yes, sir. Check. Biology and chemistry.
Assistant principal.
Yes, sir.
Lead assistant principal.
Yes, sir.
Associate principal.
Yes, sir.
High school principal.
High school principal.
Assistant superintendent secondary school.
Mm-hmm.
And now district level administrator.
Yes, sir.
Come on, man. Look, man, multiple Texas school systems and been a part of some impressive outcomes.
Right.
Including 100% graduation rate.
Yeah.
Strong college, career, and military readiness. And we know how important that CCMR is these days.
That was one of my proudest moments as a principal, 100% graduation rate for 4 consecutive years, and then also an A rating on college and career military readiness. So, you know, I wave that banner every time I get an opportunity because the kids and the teachers and the staff did it. So.
Yes, sir. Man, that's what it is, man. Preparing our youngsters, man. But it takes that team and that leader, man. It got to be, as Jocko say, extreme ownership.
Right.
You know how it go. Look, so now, I'm not going to keep going on about the resume because that's not the conversation I want to have. So I want people to meet you, and I want to know what 32 years have taught you through this. And so as tonight, y'all, we're going to talk about students. We're going to talk about leadership, about service, brotherhood, our young men, and maybe some things you know today that you wish somebody had told you 32 years ago. And so we'll get all that. But before we do, Tony, what we like to jump into a little news so that we could just keep everybody abreast of what's going on in our world today as far as education. So let's jump into a little news. We'll talk about this story before we get into our time. Okay. So I want to get into the news story. Oh, but wait a minute. I got to get the story out. Oh, my God. This is crazy. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get the story real quick. So basically, I like to pull it up. I got what it is in paper. Let me see if I can get this story pulled up because I really wanted us to talk about the other side of not getting that 100% graduation rate. And so we got a school down in Austin that didn't do too good, man. So Let me see if I can find it. All right, here we go. Here we go. And that way I can share the screen with you all. All right, now, here we go. Go. All right, here we go. Courtesy of KXAN News. What this story talks about, the Burnett Middle School and Webb Middle School in Austin ISD received their 5th consecutive F accountability rating, potentially exposing their district to state intervention. And that word 5th matters because we're not talking about one difficult year. We're not talking about one group of students. We're talking about persistent academic performance that concerns across multiple years. And so for those that don't know, under Texas accountability law, they can carry consequences that extend beyond the individual campuses, including the possibility of significant state intervention. So now here's what I don't want to do tonight. I don't want to sit here in Houston and pretend we know everything happening inside those 2 schools in Austin. We don't. Because anybody who has actually worked in the schools knows there can be a lot behind accountability rating. Am I telling the truth, Brother Thomas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when we think about staff and attendance, student mobility, poverty, leadership turnover, instruction, resources, school culture, community conditions, so many variables. But here's where I think the conversation getting interesting. At what point does persistent campus failure become a leadership issue rather than simply a campus performance issue? And so, what'd you say? Talk to
me. I'll jump on that. I'm not familiar with the 2 Austin schools, but I'm familiar with the accountability system and the rating system. And what typically happens when a school or school district has an F rating, that typically is not a kid problem. A lot of times it's easy to blame the kids. That's a program's problem, a systems problem, or lack thereof, a lack of leadership, turnover, mobility. There are many factors that come into play when a campus is F, because when you start talking about an F, that means that they weren't showing growth and that campus wasn't being successful. Typically, when I've seen F campuses is for high principal turnover, teacher turnover from the district. They're sending a new principal. And what you have to understand is like turning a ship. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't turn the ship, just make a hard turn like that. It takes a little while to turn that ship, but you have to align and put some systems in place. You have to structure that curriculum. And see, that's what happens a lot of times. I go in and help support at-risk campuses or campuses that are not being successful. 9 times out of 10, most of the time, there's not an aligned curriculum for the students to follow. And a lot of times the teachers don't know what to teach. Pretty much, if you get in a game, you need to know the rules of the game. We have an assessed curriculum. Oftentimes, we have teachers who are teaching, and they're teaching their heart out, but they're teaching things that the students are not being assessed on. So you're putting the students at a disadvantage right there, first and foremost. So, and there are other factors that come into play. But most of the time, F-rated campus, in my experience, is not a kid issue. That's a systems issue. That's an adult issue where they have to be restructured. You got to put people in there that are just basically warriors that are going to do whatever it takes to help those students be successful.
And for me, here's the last part of this that really I think is important. When we say a school received an F, we got to understand there are children sitting inside that building, and those children don't get those years back.
Right. They can't.
So while we debate accountability systems, we talk interventions, governance, who's responsible? And we still have an obligation into those students today. And so I think the accountability conversation is important, but ultimately these students are the ones living with those consequences of
absolutely
work. And that's the sad part about that.
Brother Thomas, let me put this out here for the listeners. If your child is not feeling well and is consistently being sick and you don't know what's wrong with her, what are you going to do? You're going to take your child to the doctor to find out what's going on with it. In every other system and profession, we do a diagnosis and we find out what the problem is. Then we come up with solutions to address those problems or issues. we're not going to let our child suffer. We're going to take our child to the doctor to run tests to find out what's going on with our child. We have to do that at those low performing schools. We have to find out what's the root of the problem, because our kids are suffering. You wouldn't want your child in the F campus for 4-5 consecutive years. I wouldn't, you wouldn't, and nobody else. So those parents in those school systems, they don't want that either. They don't want I want to be a part of an F campus. So we have to do everything possible to salvage those students in their education.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense on that?
Most definitely does.
Yeah.
All right. So that was pretty much that news right there. We dropped down. That was some good conversation. I put that right there.
I want to say something in history. We're in a new time now too. In over 32 years, I can count on one hand how many school districts and campuses have been taken over by the state. Most of the time when school districts are taken over, 9 times out of 10 is because of finance. Now you see a trend for taking over campuses because of academics. You see it more. I've seen it more in the last 5 years than I've ever seen in over 30 years. They're not just taking over school districts. State of Texas, the TA is not taking over school districts just on the basis of poor finances. They're looking at grades, finance, and everything, and they're taking over these school districts. They're taking them over. They're bringing in conservators because of low performance. Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Let's get into a few comments real quick here. Okay. We got the boss lady, Dr. We got Dr. Robinson in the building. Good evening, distinguished gentlemen. What an honor to know both of you as administrators and great men. Tony Runnels. And I go all the way back to Taylor High School in 2006 as rough APs. Come on, man.
Mindy Roberts, Dr. Robinson. Dr. Robinson.
Big shouts I had to get at. And then we got Toya. She got them poodles in the building today. What's going on here? Look. All right, man. So what we'll do, let's jump into a quick break. And then what we'll do, I want to get into more of our conversation tonight. So yeah, man, let's take a quick one.
Oh, we're gonna have a good time.
All right, y'all, welcome back to Education Unleashed. I am your host, Kendrick Thomas, and tonight I'm sitting down with one of the good brothers, Brother Tony Runnels. Look, y'all don't understand how this man changed my life, man. I wish y'all could understand, man. Now, man, Brother Tony, let's get into your story, man. Yeah. So for those that don't know, and I talked to a little bit about it, but people see the titles. They just heard all of those pieces that I read off, the assistant principal, the lead assistant principal, and more than 3 decades in education. But take all that away. Who is Tony Runnels when you remove the titles?
When you remove the titles, Tony Runnels is just a little small country boy from Silsbee, Texas. I grew up in Southeast Texas. Silsbee is 10 miles north of Beaumont, Texas. I had a loving childhood. Silsbee is a close-knit community. We had support in the community, and the churches grew up in the church. And I grew up in a situation where we had a lot of retirees and people from, segregation that went into integration and then retired. But I grew up with professionals, teachers, lawyers and people that were, pre-integration, and they were very supportive. They were active in the community. They taught us, they encouraged us. I mean, we were expected to go out and be successful. I always laugh. I tell people, I didn't know I was poor until I got to college. I saw people driving fancy cars and all that, because my family, they exposed us to so much. I can never forget 8th grade changed my life. I went to Washington, D.C. and went to the nation's capital, went to the White House, laid the wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier. And I was sitting there and I said, man, it's a different world than just in my little box in Southeast Texas. And that really inspired me to do great things. But I had tremendous support from my parents, my grandparents, had a loving community, and we were just instilled. It was a community effort. They always checked on you. How you doing? I was real big in athletics and sports. So they check on you. They come to the games. And we really pushed education in my childhood, in my community. So I have that passion in me that I do. That's why this is a mission. This is a mission for me. I mean, this is a ministry for me, working with children, because people poured into me as a kid.
Yeah,
and that's who you are. You know, I'm old country boy. I'm good. I love the barbecue. I love to get out there and have a good time. I'm a pit master. Anybody that knows me know I like the barbecue. So
yeah, Texas, man.
Yeah.
So now you started your career as a middle school science teacher, and just thinking back to them days.
Yeah.
What did that young teacher believe about students that the district leader sitting here today still believe?
The one thing, my whys never changed. I always believe in success. I always believe that we can be great. We never give up. We can do it. We can make it happen. It goes back even from Little League. My dad was my favorite coach in Little League. And then he said, you can do it. You know, he taught me how to hit a curveball. Hey, get back up there, dust yourself off, get back in there. We can do this together. He said, I can't hit the ball for you, but I can help you. That's what I do for the kids. And as a middle school, to this day, in over 30 years, my favorite job that I've ever had, I've been an assistant superintendent, a high school principal. I've had a great career. I've loved every bit of it. But my favorite job was down in Beaumont, Texas. I was that middle school science teacher, and I was a football coach. And to this day, those kids still call me Coach Runnels and keep in touch with me. And those, you know, I'm getting old now, man. My first group of kids, they're in their mid-40s now. So, it was really a great, we were at an old school, Crockett Middle School, the oldest school in Beaumont, Texas. And man, it was low performing. It was at that time, I didn't know anything about economically disadvantaged or at risk. I just knew the scores were low, and I knew, you know, we had great kids, we had great teachers. And Mr. Clifford Hardman gave me a chance. He hired 10 of us, 10 African-American males. We were all under 30 years old. And he hired us in, and he trained us and told us to go in and care for kids. And he said, he's going to train us. He said, if you're willing to learn, I'm going to teach you. And he trained us. And man, we turned that in 3 years. We went from low performing to recognized. So, I mean, that was just a turnaround story. And that's the, you know, one of the toughest neighborhoods in Beaumont, Texas, and able to have that success. I'll never forget that. That was my favorite job that I've ever had, because we made a difference. We made a difference right there. You always want to say, am I making a difference? You ask yourself, am I changing? Am I moving the needle? We were able to do that academically, athletic. You know, many of those kids went on to be doctors, lawyers. Some of them played in the NFL. We had like 4 students that made the NFL, you know, that I coached. You know, some of those students are still teaching to this day. Some of them are in the healthcare profession. So just really a tremendous thing that we had in that period in the 90s in Beaumont, Texas. So that was my favorite job. Great group of kids, great group of individuals. And we really made some changes. You know, Mr. Hardeman is deceased, the principal, but his legacy lives on. And we were able to build a new school there. It's still standing. It's called Martin Luther King Junior High, Martin Luther King Junior Middle School. So proud of that success and legacy we left.
In that BMT, man. Look, we got some people say,
Big Money, Texas.
Yeah, that's my hometown here. All right.
I see the Caesar on there. She's Beaumont Central Jaguar. I see her.
Okay, yeah. And she say that's amazing work, Jake. Hey, man, for me, I understand exactly what you mean just by having that time as that teacher and that coach. You know, being in leadership so long, you affect on a grander scale, but it's nothing like that relationship that you build with that kid in that heat when y'all at war together.
Absolutely.
You know, so I totally understand. And so that was going to be kind of my next question, but I think you pretty much summed it up. It was just, you know, we started this out, man. We say we want to work, and we had no idea of how that passion will really impact our lives and take us everywhere. And so what moment for you was it that education simply stopped being a career and it really became a part of the purpose?
Yeah. Well, it became a ministry when, you know, you working with kids, and then, you know, I've had students, parents be deceased and, you know, from tragic things. I've had a situation where both parents were killed, and they came to us, the people that they knew, the teachers, the administrators, where they were just asking for help. And And what do? Do you turn, well, that's not a school issue. No, it's all about relationships. And I've been successful in this career because of positive professional relationships. So that's when it became a ministry for me. A paycheck and all that. I tell this story. You asked what was the turning point. I remember in Beaumont, my dad worked at the plant at DuPont.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Dad was making good money. I said, well, Dad, I'm gonna go on quit teaching, man. I'm gonna go on out there with you because I want a new truck and I want to do this. I want to do all that. And he said, son, right now, what you're doing, you're making a difference with children, and they love you and respect you, and you're really making a difference. And he said, it's dangerous out here, at the chemical plant. But I want to make money. Well, he said, you're gonna make the money. He said, you're gonna make the money and then some. It's gonna open so much doors for you. I was really upset with my dad. But what happened, a guy my age got killed at the plant right after I asked him that. And I said, dang, and he never said anything else about it, but he just looked at me and he hugged me. And I knew what he was talking because it was so dangerous, because the guy, his coworker that got killed was my age. Young guy, 25, 26 years old at the time, 26 years old. And he saw me in that young man there. And he said, son, you can go out there and you can do great things in this profession. He said, that's your calling. Him and my mother, they're the ones that got me into teaching. And man, that changed my whole life, because from then on, man, it was like a fish to water, man. We just boom, just going in, teaching, moving the needle, getting instructional programs, increasing academic achievement, instilling discipline. That's one thing that you have to do. You got to have structure. If you don't have structure, you're going to have utter chaos. Like they tell you, some people train people and say, hey, look, the good instruction will take over. Now, you got to have structure in that classroom and on your campus. If not, you're going to have utter chaos. So that's when it became a ministry for me, seeing, things happen and right before my eyes, and children coming to me. Man, I can share this story to show you how you develop relationships. I had an Hispanic couple. Their son, he was a great student, honor student. Hey, he went and made a mistake. He was shoplifting at Walmart. And you want to know what he was stealing? He was stealing a calculator and school supplies. Now, we have all those things for them at the school, but he wanted to have a calculator for his AP course. Instead of asking us, I say, son, we have all that for you. And so what happened, he was charged. He was documented as illegal, even though he was born here. His parents weren't born in the country. Do you know those parents came to the school and they had held him in a detention center on the north side, the immigration center? Those parents gave me a check for his bond and put it in my hand because they didn't want to get deported, and trusted me to go bond him out of jail. I've never even heard of that. And I've never shared that story with anybody, but they gave me a check to go bond their son out because they say, our son respects you. He said, you do so much for the kids and the community. And I went and bonded that young man out of jail. And I said, you can't do that, man. We're here. I mean, we're here for you. And KT, to have something like that happen to you, that's when it's not a job. It's a ministry. I mean, what do you do in a situation like that when a parent comes to you and the kid is an honor student, he never gets in trouble, he's on time every day, and he makes a silly mistake getting school supplies?
Yeah.
So that's where you have to have that element of compassion. You still have to have structure and discipline, but you got to have an element of compassion to work with children.
Yeah, because at that moment, it became bigger than you immediately.
Yeah. Wow. And I see your team, and he's like, wow. I mean, how do you think I felt when those parents came up to me and asked me that? I didn't even know if you could do that. I don't even know as a policy or procedure, but you got to care about children, and that happened, man. And I didn't want him to just be out because he wasn't a troublesome young man. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of relationships, and you hear me say the word relationship. Relationships are crucial, whether it be with students, colleagues, co-workers, the community. You got to establish those relationships. Everything that I've been able to do in the last 32 years is because of relationships.
Most definitely. So now, let's switch gears for a second because I think this will tie very well into what we're talking about. Now we know because there's another connection between us that we're gonna jump into.
Okay.
Once again, the Psi.
Psi.
So now I want to talk beyond the letters tonight about the fraternity. Omega gives us 4 cardinal principles: manhood, scholarship, perseverance,
and uplift.
Which one has influenced your leadership the most? And then tell us why, Brother Tom.
You know, someone else asked me that question, and what I always say is scholarship. Because to me, scholarship is seeking knowledge, learning. It's everything encompasses. It's the learning, it's the teaching, it's the improvement, it's the constant improvement, the progress is getting better. And so with that scholarship, you're teaching, you're learning, you're growing. That cardinal principle hit me. It's not just a scholarship where you're giving out a scholarship. It's all of academics. It's all of learning. It's all of growth to me. And I hold scholarship near and dear to me. You know, with scholarship, then everything will come into place. The manhood that comes in with mentoring, scholarship, manhood, your perseverance and your uplift. You got to continue on. You got to push through. When you're doing academics, you're doing scholarship, you're pushing through, and uplifting. You bringing people up. You help. So scholarship, is at the forefront, and then everything else falls into place. If that makes sense, because I do the uplift, the perseverance, and when you're dealing with children, it's tough. I mean, you got to persevere. You have to persevere. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. I tell anybody, I say, you don't just go up and say, "Hey, I'm a teacher." No, it doesn't work like that. You gotta put in that work. It's a lot of work.
It's day 2, and I'm already on perseverance, man.
On day 2, perseverance.
Hey, perseverance, man. You gotta push through, baby. No, man, we just started our second day, so I agree with all those pieces. Putting that scholarship right at the beginning, because we know through all of those pieces we get to teach that manhood, teach that uplift.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely, brother. And so with that service, that's one of our big pieces in Omega.
Yeah.
What has that taught you about? What has Omega taught you about the service that you carried into the work with the students and the communities?
Well, the service, is the watchword. That's what we're about. Service, serving our community, serving each other, and being a servant leader. But I was doing that before Omega, and Omega enhanced that. I love to serve. I was brought up to serve and give, and humility. When you have humility and you be a servant, you go in, you help people. I don't mind. I'll be with the custodians, pick up trash, and do whatever I got to do. And I'm gonna treat the cafeteria workers just like I treat the principal or the superintendent. But with service and servitude, I love giving back. That gives me a joy. I love doing toy drives. I love doing food, pantries and food giveaway. Anytime I can serve my community, I'm there because I love it. That's one thing that Omega Psi Phi does, and the service, getting out in the community. We do something called Pack Grocery every year. One of the chapter brothers started that. We give out groceries, free Christmas groceries for Christmas every year. We go to HEB and we do that. We do the Thanksgiving Shekinah project where we give out Thanksgiving feast. We fed like 500 families last Thanksgiving. I love doing those type of activities. I love giving the giveaways at the school where we can go and donate. I love doing that at church. We just did the backpack drive for back to school. So anytime you can do service to your community, to children, I love that. And just to see the eyes of children when you can give them that lifeline, because you never know, man, you're helping out. You might have the next state representative, the next mayor, the next congressman. I have one of my former students. He's running for state representative, Otis. He's out there in Cyprus. And man, to see him up there with Minifield and running for those offices, man, that just makes you proud. This is a guy we helped out doing, when he was a teenager in high school, and he helped do community service with me. And now he's out there running for a political office. So, I'm just excited to see that kind of stuff because he did that service and he's continuing to serve,
Let's get into a comment. So you say it's rare to have African-American males And she said, I know it is in Michigan. Yeah, I agree. Somebody asked that the other day.
Yeah.
Can you think about when you had your first African American male teacher?
Right.
And I remember having a art teacher in elementary school, but none of the content instructors were male. Oh man, it was long, man. I want to say until middle school for me.
Yeah. And I'm glad she brought that up because, how can we get more Black males into the profession? There's a stigma on it, like even I shared my story. I wanted to go out to the plant and all that, but you got to have people like us, Brother Thomas, that push that. Having a Black role model. I mean, it's a game changer, because students look up to that. I know with me, I had a couple Black teachers in elementary, but understand a lot of those teachers were at retirement age, coming from, segregation. Then when they integrated, we were in elementary schools and some of those teachers were at retirement age. But when I got to high school, I didn't have a lot of Black male teachers. Yeah. I had some in elementary school when I was smaller, but I didn't have a lot of Black male teachers until I went to Prairie View. And then I had professors, at a historic HBCU. But to answer your question, no, I didn't. I had some in the elementary and a few in middle school, but in high school, I didn't have a lot of Black male teachers.
All right, man. Well, what we'll do, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we get back, I want to jump into a little of this leadership and let's talk about what we do. And leadership is hard for us. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back to Education Unleashed. I am your host, Kendrick Thomas, and I'm here with one of the good brothers, Brother Tony Runnels Jr. Look, man, so much good information you dropped tonight. Really can tell that expertise, really can tell that passion. And we already know that it is all about the people and the future that we're trying to build. So I don't want the part, now I do. I want the part where, you go to school to be a leader. You go through your classes, you take all your internships, but they don't put this in the textbook. So after 32 years in the game, I just want to ask, what's one difficult leadership lesson you had to learn through experience rather than through a certification program, graduate school, or a textbook?
Well, you got to learn that people are who they show you they are. You can't assume anything. You say, I know. She didn't do that. I know he didn't do that. You can't always say that. You have to trust, but confirm, and you have to investigate. So I learned that in 32 years. I've kind of got bit a couple of times. You assume that this couldn't happen. And surely that teacher didn't do that, or that student didn't do that, and you find out yes they did do that. And then some. So in leadership you have to look at both sides. I always call it the lion and the lamb. Sometimes you could have to be as ferocious as a lion, but you got to be as gentle as a lamb, and you got to listen. You got to listen, and you can't make you don't have to make an immediate decision right then and there. But that's one thing I learned you can't make just a decision based on that. Now you got to tell you and point you in the right direction, KT, but it's just to say, oh no, they didn't do that. Now you can't always say that. That'll teach you that. I'm telling you, you know that too. I can't believe that teacher did that. They lying on that teacher. That teacher did
it. and what they say that key thing, assume positive intent.
Assume a positive intent.
Well, sometimes. Sometimes. Well, look, I know it wasn't that positive in this decision.
It ain't always in the book. It ain't always in the book. And we keeping it real on this show. That's why I love your show. We keeping it real.
That's all right. So now, man, principals have teachers who need support, students who need advocacy, parents who need answers, district expectations, and results they're responsible for producing.
Right.
How does a leader know when to listen, when to compromise, when to say, I've heard everyone, but this is the direction we're going?
Okay. Well, and hey, that's a great question. And that's leadership 101. You know, you have 2 ears and you have 1 mouth, and you have to listen. But what you have to do is surround yourself around effective quality people that you trust, people that you establish what relationships with. Okay. And, you know, anytime I go into a leadership position, I'm going to have me a committee advisory. I'm going to have my assistants, and we're going to talk about it. We meet weekly to talk about different issues. Okay. And then what we have to have, you get feedback from everyone. But one thing where people make the mistake, you're not going to please everybody. So what you have to do is come up with some commonalities, and I call them non-negotiables. Okay. We're going to talk about how's this going to impact children. Now, one thing that people don't like, what's best for children is not always comfortable for adults. So you want to write that down. What's best for children is not always comfortable for adults. Sometimes you have to move their cheese a little bit. Sometimes, you know, hey, those students, hey, they need a block class or they need interventions. That teacher may not want to do that, but it may not be comfortable. Yeah, you might just want to teach what you teach, but I might need you teaching English. I might need you teaching reading. I might need you to teach a block class. I may need you to do an intervention. Okay, yeah, it may not be comfortable for you, but that's what's best for children. And you have to come up with non-negotiables. And you say, okay, well, when you said to answer your question, when you say this is what we're going to do, we have a total vision. Okay. And then we're going to have guidelines for success. And then we're going to buy into it. Okay. When everybody buy into it, I always do a theme. You know, it's real cool. I used to do these cheesy themes, you know, and, you know, one year I had Ain't No Stopping Us Now. I had the music, everybody playing, and, you know, we're taking it, you know, moving to the top and, you know, moving on up. You know, you always have little themes. But the commonalities that we have, hey, we're going to be at the doors. We're going to have bell-to-bell instruction. Hey, we're not going to have tardies in there. We're not going to have classroom disruptions. These are non-negotiables. Yeah. Okay. And the kids need to know that too. The kids need to know, hey, this is our social contract. I'm big on social contract. This is how we're going to interact with each other. We're going to treat each other with respect. But these are the non-negotiables. Come hell or high water, this is what's going to happen on this campus. And then if they're not buying into the system, what we're talking to help students get better, then we can encourage them to pursue opportunities elsewhere. Okay. Yeah. But this is what we're going to do. This is what our kids need. So to answer your question, that's how you direct them, because what happens, you're not going to please everybody, but you do have to get feedback. You got to listen to your people. You know, you got to listen to your people. And one thing, KT, I learned too, it's hard to argue with people when you're feeding them. I like to feed my staff, and then we have those meetings. Hey, man, it's hard to argue with the big fella when you're eating and you break bread and then you talk things out. So, So those are some of the things that are icebreakers. You know, you get them a good meal, they soften up a little bit.
Come on, man. Get to some of these here. So, Tony say teachers have an important role in a child's life more than just teaching. Teachers are a part of the village. And
absolutely.
Sandy Housley, she put this in. She said, this one we said we were keeping it real, so she put the 100 up.
Yeah, that's what she calls me, Big 100. Yeah. She's one of my assistant principals. She always used to, she hear me, she makes fun of me all the time. She says it's non-negotiable. They make fun of me.
She say most thankless rewarding job ever. Period. I'm with you on that one. All right, man. So now, get into that, and you know, just talking about keeping them on the hook comes that accountability. And so, you describe yourself as a servant leader, and I do the same. So I know where we're coming from. But sometimes people hear servant leader and interpret that as being soft. Right. So, what does servant leadership look like to you when somebody has to be held accountable?
Well, you have to have those courageous conversations. If you heard me, remember I said earlier, I call it the lion and the lamb. Yeah. You know, you can be respectful, and you know, sometimes, you know, you can talk to them and you can have that conversation, but sometimes you have to be direct and you tell them these are the expectations, these are the standards, and these are the non-negotiables. So you have to have those, you got to have those courageous conversations with staff, students, and parents. You know, one trend I see now is parents come in and they try to out-talk you. And what is that? They say the squeaky squeaky wheel gets the oil, they make a lot of noise and all that, and that's not going to happen. So when you're ready to talk, you can calm down, and then we're going to have this conversation. But we're not going to be doing the yelling and all that. We don't do that. This is what we're going to discuss it. When you're ready, then we can resume this conversation. But same conversation with staff. A lot of times they get defensive, and then in teachers' defense, a lot of times teachers, they get frustrated. They get frustrated. They get upset. I can tell you, I had a teacher had a breakdown years ago, and I don't know if we can say this on TV, but I'll try to clean it up. KT, she said she was the nicest, sweetest lady, and man, she never caused any problem. One of my best teachers, but she got burned out, and she started cussing in the classroom, and kids came and got me. Quit lying on that teacher. That teacher ain't done that. So she said, "Yeah, I said it." Oh yes, yeah. What I did, she had never showed that behavior before, and I got her a sub and brought her in my office and got her calm down. And she just had, she had enough. Now that's not acceptable, and it's not going to be tolerated. But I'm not going to make the situation better going in there yelling at her in front of all the kids. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, everything those kids said, she said. Mm-hmm. And but she had got burned out. So it's the lion and the lamb. Now, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to go harsh on her and yell at her. And I told her, you can't do that. We don't do that. We don't talk to children like that. That's never acceptable. We don't let them talk to us like that. But by the same token, I didn't, yell at her in front of everybody. But I pulled her. You praise in public and you reprimand in private.
Most definitely. That's how it go, man. All right, let's take one more break. And when we get back, I want to kind of start landing this plane, but we got to talk about our students, our young men, and the legacy that we are leaving as educators today. All right, so y'all, we'll be right back. All right, y'all, welcome back to Education Unleashed. I am your host, Kendrick Thomas, and I'm here with the good brother Tony Runnels Jr. Brother, you all right over there?
I'm doing good, man. I'm enjoying this. I'm pumped up. I'm enjoying this.
Now, look, man, I want to bring this back to the students. You've watched generations of students change since you entered the classroom in 1994.
Right.
What do students need from educators that perhaps we didn't understand as well 30 years ago?
Well, one thing I can tell you right off the bat, and the viewers can chime in, the one thing I've noticed is the social and emotional wellness, the help that our children need. You didn't hear about social and emotional wellness, back 30 years ago. A lot of times these kids have so many different things and obstacles that they're dealing with. Broken homes, they're exposed to a lot of things that we never even dreamed of that they're having to deal with. And they see broken homes, they see a lot of stuff. And I'm not just talking about tough times and adversity. I mean, everything from violence to drugs, things that children shouldn't be exposed to. And our children are exposed to that, and the trauma is real. So trauma is definitely one thing that we have to deal with in the school system. You see more trauma sensitive learning. You see more counselors on staff to address the needs of children, because you have students that just sometimes want to talk. You have to set up those platforms for students to talk to you, and you have to listen to them. KT, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've been in campuses where I've had, and it haunts me, man, keeps me up, where I've had students come to me and I talk to them and get them help and support. And if you've ever been there and been the principal of a student that committed suicide, it rips your heart out, because you feel that you feel like you could have done more. You understand what I'm saying? So with that trauma-induced learning, trauma-sensitive learning, you got to put platforms for your children to talk to them, whether it's a teacher. And you can't take offense to that. A student may have a better relationship with a teacher or a counselor or a social worker than you. Now, I had great relationships with students. Sometimes students will come and talk to me. Sometimes students had a better relationship with Miss Sandy Housley. She was on the call just a second ago. They would go and talk to her and confide in her. But the thing I've noticed right now, more students that need counseling and the trauma that they're going through. Man, it's real, and you have to provide platforms for students. These students now are exposed to violence, school shootings, all those things that have come in this lifetime. If you think about it, you had a group of students that right now have graduated that have went through COVID. They went through the tax day flood. They went through Hurricane Harvey. You went through a couple ice storms. So those are 100-year events that happen that impact students and children. And you don't even think about it because we go through our normal lives. But that impacted a lot. A lot of people lost families during COVID. And we had to provide avenues and support for those children during those tough times and get those kids graduated. So those are things that we're dealing with, the victim of domestic violence, students seeing crimes happen in front of them in their neighborhoods and in their homes. So that's the biggest thing difference I've seen with children. And as administrators, you can't say, hey, not my fault, it's not here. Hey, right now you have to be a superhero. And I'm gonna be honest with you, you have to have that conversation. You're going to be dad, counselor, cheerleader, coach, disciplinarian, hall monitor, traffic cop, everything you can think of. That's what our leaders are faced with today. It's tough, but it's a rewarding job, but it's tough. It's not for the faint of heart. And I know you don't need me telling you that either. You do it every day, but that's one of the things, team, that I've seen in the last, and I think the viewers would agree that are working in public education, they would agree with that. It's a different time.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do in one of my trainings I got based on the book that I wrote, bring a backpack, right? And that backpack is filled with all kind of heavy items. And so
right.
A lot about, we see what's on the outside of that kid. We see the anger, the frustration, but then you really know without learning that kid what's inside that backpack. Right. And so have somebody come and put it on and it's heavy. And so then now we're talking about what could be in that backpack. And so I agree, man, we have to get that SEL. I had Dr. Robinson on. And so that's what he talked about last week, was all about restorative circles, building those relationships, all of those pieces. Let's get into a few comments before we land this thing here. Okay, let me see here. So that was Ms. Sanders. She said he's always doing what's best for students, no matter what. That's what it's about. Yeah, Ms. Felicia, she said leaders lead with compassion, period. We're gonna have to give us some air horns for that one, for real. Yeah. All right, then I think this when Toya was agreeing with you about the things that students are seeing. Let me see what else we got here. Okay, I think Sandy said teachers have to understand the difference between meaningful connections and encouraging rather than tearing down and making wrong judgments. And so that is all about how do you see that kid. We talked about my friend said it as he was training a teacher. And so he said, I came in and she didn't know anything about him. I told her to 10 by 2. So just spending 2 minutes, talking to the kids, all those pieces. So let me see here. The greater issue is parents were more into parenting with school rather than just getting rid of their kids. That was it. Don't play no game with that schoolhouse.
Yeah, that's my auntie. She's a retired teacher. And she was on them. She used to be on them.
That's it, man. Oh, look.
And it's funny. My auntie just got on that comment. Parents have changed too, because I see parents defend things when they know their kids are wrong, whereas years ago they may not like it, but they trust that you're doing right by their children. But it's funny, parents will come up for a cell phone and not come up for a parent teacher conference. that made me think of that. And so you have to kind of educate the parents too. These are the non-negotiables. Yeah. But somebody said something about kids too. You know, you never judge. I like what you talked about your backpack too, knowing what's inside the kid. If you develop those relationships, greeting them at the door, different things like, hey man, what's going on? How was your day? Get you some kind of routine. I remember when I was teaching, I had the fist bump. You know, everybody had the little dap, you know, had the little snap of the finger or whatever your thing is. And, you know, you ask them if they playing sports, that was easy. You'd ask them about the game or if they're in the band or even if they do different things. I had guys that are doing rodeo and they were cattle ropers and man, they were really good. And you talk about that. Those are different things you can make connections with kids. And when you make those connections, it makes it easier in the classroom.
Yeah. But look, man, as we get ready to land this plane, I'm going to finish this formal interview with this one question. And brother, if you want to, before you answer, I want you to sit with this one for a second.
Okay.
When this career is eventually over, we talking positions are gone, the offices belong to somebody else's name on the door.
Hang up my cleats. Hang up my cleats.
What do you hope people say changed because Tony Runnels was here?
Okay. I like that. I like that. I like that. I'm thinking about it. Yeah. And before I, like the old folks used to say, before I lay down my hymn book and Bible and study war no more. That's what they used to say in church. But to answer your question, I would like people to say that, man, Tony Runnels cared. He gave it his all. I mean, he loved children. He loved learning. He loved education. When they talk about the guys that really gave it 110%, that's what they used to call me, Big 100, because I would give them all I had. Now, that always wasn't popular at central office. Sometimes I get called over there, but I would try to give the kids everything because I want them to be successful. You know, you don't get the gains that we got and the success by just sitting on your hands and all that. So sometimes you got to think outside the box. And I like for people to say, man, Runnels, he did it his way. He did it. It wasn't always the conventional way, but he got results. And he loved children. He loved his staff. He loved working with people. He loved education. I'm one of the guys that still believes in public education. I still believe we can do it. I mean, I believe we can land this ship. I believe we can get kids engaged, but we can't give up. Yeah, it's tough, but we got to just make sure we do the whole child. We can't just pick and choose. We got to help kids because, you know, you got that diamond in the rough. Just think about that kid. You see that kid that's low performing, and then you see them get better and they start making good grades. And then they go to high school and then they go to college, you know. And my wife and I, we take in kids and we say, we ain't going to take in no more kids because every time we take in kids, we get attached and all that. But those kids will tell you, hey, Mr. Runnels, everything he said that he was going to do, he did. And to go, my legacy is right now, I'm living it right now to see kids invite me to graduations and to the weddings. And now, shucks, I'm old enough to see their kids in high school now, man. You know, so, you know, I walked in and I saw a former student. His kid was in the 11th grade. I'm like, wow, you know, one of my former football players. And so they have children that are in high school. So, and everybody, it's a respect thing. So I hope when it's said and done and I hang it up that they say, hey, he cared. He gave his best. He was 100. He was the big 100. He gave it everything he had, and he was there. He was present. He was present for the kids. He was present for the staff, and he was a resource. He was a good man. And I like to say that he was a good man. He was a good role model. I would like for people to say that.
That's it, brother. Well, look, man, I appreciate that that answer. Like you say, that's what we want, man. Just for people to understand, like we laid it all on the line until it was time to, you know. And so that's very important, man. Yeah. But all right, brother. Now we've been serious long enough.
Yes.
So we did our interview, but you got to go through this rapid fire with me, man. So
come on, bring it on. Come on.
I'm gonna set the rules, the non-negotiables. We can't have no superintendent answers. We can't do no long drawn out answers. We got to do the first thing comes your mind.
Oh, rapid fire?
Rapid fire. Look, man. So now, are you ready?
Okay, hold on. You say rapid fire. The first thing come to my mind.
First thing come to your mind. All right, let's do it. Hold up.
Go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home.
All right, here we go. Teacher or principal?
Principal.
Middle school or high school?
High school.
Classroom walkthroughs, announced or unannounced?
Unannounced.
Hey, show up. Data or instinct?
Data. Data's going to drive instruction.
Hey, relationships or results?
Relationships.
Hey, one word that describes great leadership.
Exemplary.
Woo! One thing new principals worry about too much.
They worry about scores.
Don't worry about
scores. Don't worry about scores. Hey, winning to take care of itself. Let's do the work. Hey, we win in practice. Winning to take care of itself.
Yeah. Come on, man. One thing they don't worry about enough.
They don't worry about the little things, taking care of the little things. It's the minor things, getting in the small details.
Yeah,
the details.
Yeah. A teacher from your childhood you still remember.
Miss Shirley Ann Johnson. She taught me 8th grade U.S. history, took me to Washington, D.C., showed me the White House, showed me everything. She's gone on to glory, but that was the greatest teacher I ever had. Shirley Ann Johnson, shout out on here. Girl, I think Shirley Ann Johnson be proud of me right now. Miss Johnson, if you was here, I think you'd be proud of me.
Hey, look, just rolling. Hold up, wait a minute, I had one. Hold up. Look, go ahead, Miss Spiller in the building. She say all facts. Look now. Hold up, where we at? What's one cardinal principle of Omega that gets you through the hardest days?
Perseverance.
Perseverance.
We can make it happen. Perseverance. We can make it.
Look, I can do this. What's one thing?
We made for this. Hey, that which is difficult. Hey, what that is difficult, we do immediately. That which is impossible, we do twice as fast.
Come on, man. Look now. What's one thing every young black male should hear from a successful black man?
You can do it. Encouragement, uplift. Hey, you can do it. I believe in you. Every black male should hear, I believe in you. I know you can do it.
Oh, most definitely. And finally, finish this sentence. After 32 years in education, I know for sure that.
After 32 years of education, I know for sure that we can help our children. I know we can. I refuse to believe that we can give up on them. I know we can help our children be successful. I know we can. We just got to do it together. It's going to take a village. Most
definitely, man. And I agree with that. We can't do it by ourselves. Leaders, no one man can do it alone.
It takes all of us. It takes all of us together.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Well, brother, this has been a good one. And what I appreciate tonight is we didn't just talk about the positions. We talked a lot about the purpose. And so tonight started with a story about two struggling schools and our news story. And I think there's an interconnect in between where we started and where we're ending, because we know that education can become consumed with numbers, ratings, graduation rates, accountability, all of those things that matter. But behind every number, there's a student.
Right.
Behind every successful school, there are educators doing work most people will never see. And behind every effective leader, there should be a purpose greater than that position. So, Brother Tony, you spent 32 years moving from the classroom to leadership, district leadership.
Right.
And the one thing that I believe that has come through tonight with you is that leadership changes depending on the seat, but the service should remain the same. Like you say, it's been the same why that full time, man. And so I just want to say, man, thank you for the work that you did tonight. Thank you for coming on Education Unleashed. Your service to students, to leadership, and from one brother to another.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for continuing to represent those principles, man. Anything you got to say before we close out tonight?
Hey, thank you for having me. I just believe that we can do it. When those schools are low performing, I learned something back at Prairie View a long time ago, acronym. Mac Frazier, my old professor, he taught me, say, in leadership, you can pretty much solve the educational problems by acronym API, assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation. And you go through that process and you assess what's going on, scores, the culture, the climate. Then you come back and you develop a plan to address that. Then you implement that plan and you evaluate that plan. You see if it's working. If it's not working, you make adjustments and start that process over. That's one thing I would recommend for that school in Austin. I do education consulting also now, and you just try to help them and encourage them, because right now a lot of times it's tough. You feel like you're drowning, but you throw a life raft in them, and we start from the bottom and we just go and build it up. And I have that passion. I believe in public education. I believe it's a lot going on in legislature. That's a whole nother podcast. If you bring me back, we'll talk about the legislature on a different day, but we still can make it. There are budget cuts. I know that we're 90% economically disadvantaged in certain campuses. I know reading proficiency is low. I know the kids are not prepared. I know all those things while we can't, but we got to figure out what we can do to make them successful. And that's where the rubber meets the road.
Rubber meets the road. All right. So we got a few comments before we get out of here. What Toya say? Great job. Children's lives are better because of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ms. Tamara say, what's going on, Tamara? I'm proud of both of you leaders. Thank you for all you do for our youth. Most definitely.
Thank you.
Hey, all right. Now, as we get ready to get out of here, to everybody watching tonight, if this conversation gave you something to think about, don't just hit the like button. Send it to somebody. Send it to a principal, aspiring administrator, educator who's wondering whether the work they're doing still matters, and especially send it to a young man who needs to see examples of men who continue to lead and serve. Please go back and share this from kttv.com. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, share the show, and join us for our next conversation, because we're going to keep talking about issues that are affecting our schools, educators, our community, all of those pieces. I am Kendrick Thomas, and this is Brother
Tony Runnels Jr.
Hey. All right, look, y'all. This is KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
KTTV.
KTTV.